Okay. Hello, hello. Today is a special day because today we are going to have our first guest on the podcast. So this is going to be super fun and packed full of amazing information. So let's dive in. I'd like to introduce Emily, who's just one of my favorite people that I met a couple years ago in a networking group, who's going to tell us all about her journey with cutting sugar and her knowledge on sugar addiction. So good morning, Emily. How are you?
Good morning, Sheena. I'm doing super well. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So I know that I'd seen just on social media that you have been going through, I think it was a book that I saw or maybe a program on cutting sugar. And I'd seen some of your recipes that looked really good, and kind of like your little journey that you've been going through and your weight loss that you've gotten from it of, cutting sugar out. I'm not sure if it's 100% completely out or kind of what you're kind of doing on that. So that's what today's podcast is going to be about. But first, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I am an entrepreneur and I have struggled with weight loss my entire life. It's generational. My mom had the same struggle. And so it's, I could tell you everything, but I know that's kind of what we're focused on. But that's just been something that in the midst of all of the victories and all of the life that I've had, I'm a mom. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. This is something that's cropped up, especially after pregnancies. And so it's just kind of been something that it's been a struggle. I don't have any resentment toward it because I do believe that it's made me an empathetic person and it's given me something to work toward. But yeah, that's something that I've always struggled with. And so you want me to go ahead and go into the program?
Sure. Yeah. Just tell us about your health journey and your detox from sugar and kind of what that looks like.
Yeah. So this particular program is called Brightline Eating. So there's lots of different, a lot of people might be familiar with like Whole30, lots of different sugar detox programs out there. This one is specifically targeted to, it's an addiction model actually. So it targets really healing your brain. So in addition to sugar, it's also a flour detox as well. And so if we look at the basis of what sugar is, it's a big reef plant, right? That's been ground up into a very fine powder. And it's something that our bodies were never really designed to deal with. It's one thing to go chew on a piece of sugar cane. It's quite another to pour, from a bag of sugar into. So it's the same, flour's the same situation. We go from a grain that grows out of the ground to a white powdery substance.
So it's almost like the quantity. Yeah. It's almost like when you have the plant, it's like the quantity is so much more when you put it like that. It's like the grain could be good for you, but then when you put all that grain together, that's just the quantity of what you're getting is what your body's like overload.
Absolutely. It floods your body with dopamine, which is, good. We need that sometimes, but in mass amounts, it's what forms addiction.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So, when did you start the new lifestyle of when did you first say, look, I'm going to try this? And then how long were you on it before you started, seeing results or starting to feel different? Because we obviously always feel different and notice things in ourselves before everybody else does. So when did you start all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually recorded it on my calendar. So when you asked, I knew you'd probably ask that. So I went back and looked and I have on my calendar, July 21st of 2021 of last year was my first day of Brightline Eating. What had happened, I actually had gone to the river the weekend before and I was just super defeated. I had been doing some other things that were working, but then I'd gain it back. And I really was just kind of this yo-yo. And I remember we'd gone to the river all day long and I was sitting on my bed afterward, just relax after you've been at the beach all day long, you're just scrolling on Facebook. And I saw a post of one of my friends that's in a similar business as me. And she had balloons behind her that were 100, and she was celebrating 100 days of being sugar-free. And I looked at her and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so different. She looked vibrant and healthy. Of course, she had lost weight. And so I just started reading and she had mentioned this book called Brightline Eating. And so I thought, well, I've got a 5-hour drive home tomorrow. I'm going to download the Audible. I listened to it all the way from New Braunfels to Beaumont, cried my eyes out because I had never felt so seen and heard in my life after reading that book. So I just said, I got to start. So I gave myself a couple days to get everything ready. I came home on a Sunday and I started on Wednesday.
It's incredible when when things hit you, because, you know, that's what I say a lot in my podcast that I mentioned to you earlier is nothing, I don't feel like there's a cookie cutter, you know, outline of what we all should be doing. And that's just so amazing, because when you finally come across that, whatever it is that you resonate with, that flips the light bulb on for you, that really hits home for you, it's like, it touches you in a different way, and where not, you know, where another program that you didn't really, you know, connect with. So to me, that's one of those things where, you know, like, oh my gosh, this is for me, because you're able, you know, to connect with it. And then it doesn't take you very long to kind of get on that, you know, that road to get started.
Right. It was immediate. And to answer your other question, I said, I'm going to give it 30 days. I'm going to give it 30 days, right? Like, cause that's a good amount, fair amount to, you know, see if we're going to see any changes. And this was really interesting and important for me, is I didn't share it on social media. You know, I just had this feeling like I need this part of the first 30 days to be my own. I don't really want to talk about it right now. I know there will be a time when I do talk about it, but right now I want to keep this part of my life private. And I think that was important, because we all live very social lives, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just did 30 days by myself. I mean, of course, my family knew, a couple people close to me knew, but I didn't really talk about it too much. It was just something I was doing. And I lost 19 pounds in 30 days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So take me, unpack that a little bit. So like, what all, some major changes that you did. So like, just tell me like a typical day, what included. And then when you made those changes, like, did you start small? Did you totally like, you know, clean out the pantry? So what were like the first few days like for you?
Sure. Great question. So let me start by saying we have 4 lines. So bright lines are basically boundaries that we don't cross. Again, it's an addiction model. So no sugar is the first boundary, no flour of any kind, not even almond flour, anything that's been ground up, can't have that. 3 square meals a day. So no snacking, boom, 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 3 square meals a day. And then we have weighed and measured portions. So for breakfast, I have 1 protein, which is typically 4 ounces of meat, 2 eggs, something like that. I get 1 grain. I can choose 4 ounces of oatmeal, rice, whatever grain, and then 6 ounces of fruit, any fruit that I want. So, and I have a recipe for every single, my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can fit anything into those categories, but I have to hit whatever, you know, I'm supposed to eat, protein, fat, whatever. And so I actually went all in. I'm that type of person. I'm all or nothing. And so I'd already been following a ketogenic lifestyle. So the hardest part for me was really kind of eliminating like almond flour. I loved using that. I loved using stevia. I loved using coconut sugar and all these things, which, you know, for some people aren't bad. You know, I don't want to say that these things are bad, but for somebody who has, you know, a sugar food addiction, the quantity is too much, right?
I mean, it's almost like if, you know, you're addicted to alcohol, you know, one drink may not be bad for some people, but then for an alcoholic, 1 drink is never 1 drink. And so that's exactly why I say it's not, the path's not the same for everybody, because you have to know yourself enough to know like what you can handle and what you can't.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. A part of this program is taking a susceptibility quiz. And I mean, I'm a 9 out of 10, you know, but some people are a 2, just like you said. I can handle a glass of wine, but some people can't. So depending on what their history is with addiction. And so
let me go to the next question, because we're kind of feeding up to it. We've all heard things like, you know, sugar substitutes better than sugar. And like you said, like stevia, there are some brands that I do believe are a lot better than, you know, your regular, you know, pure cane sugar. But like artificial sweeteners, we know all the brands, they cause weight gain and cancer and all kinds of, you know, hormone shifts, and they slow your metabolism, all those things. So with you kind of looking more into the, you know, sugar addiction and all of that, what would you say is a common myth about sugar addiction or just sugar in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say that I guess the biggest myth that that I can think of right now is that, I mean, I don't have a sweet tooth. You know, I'm not that person that eats Little Debbie cakes. I remember like eating them in kindergarten, and I've never really been gravitated. If you put a sweet or a savory in front of me, I'm going to that savory for sure. That's what I want. So I don't necessarily think you don't have to be that person that feels like you have a sweet tooth to possibly explore maybe, you know, do I have a sugar addiction? Because sugar and food go together. as far as
because sugar comes from like all the other things, like people don't understand like the amount of sugar you get from chips and the amount of sugar you get from breads and all it you think of sugar as in sweets, but then it's also hidden in all these other things.
And everything processed has sugar in it. And if it doesn't say sugar or high fructose corn syrup, I can give you a list of 15 other words that they use to just, maltodextrin.
I'm telling you, they hide it from you, and those
they do,
and you don't think, and then sometimes it'll say like no sugar added, but then the carb count is way up there, which we know that carbs affect your sugar and your insulin levels and all that. So sometimes it's all kind of included and you don't see it's I feel like there's a little there's some shady business going on here. If and when you decide to start like cutting sugar, of course there's going to be some obstacles. It might be difficult to cut out, like you said, you don't have a big sweet tooth, but if somebody has a big sweet tooth, cutting out that sugar, the little Debbies may be difficult. I'm sure like when you start cutting, sugar, you do maybe go through some cravings at the beginning. Your energy levels probably go like way down. I'm sure mood. I know a lot of these are like from keto, so like your mood changes. And you must get that like the flu symptoms. Your sleep may be altered. And then you have like what you said, which is a challenge that people don't think about. But one of the main challenges of trying to get healthier is where you said you didn't put anything on social media about it. But if you do say, look, I'm trying this new healthy lifestyle, people will start questioning you, and it's almost like they beat you up for it, so that's a big thing too for some people. So what's the biggest challenge that you would say that you faced or are facing when you cut sugar, and then how did you tackle that personally?
That's a great question. I think for me, the biggest challenge has been changing my patterns. So I remember one day when I had just started this lifestyle, I had this pattern of going to the gym at 9:15 in the morning and getting an iced coffee on my way home, And I'm not here to say that iced coffee is good or bad. We have a saying in this lifestyle, we call things NMF, not my food. So just because it's not my food doesn't mean it's not your food, right? So I'm not here to judge, put any moral value on any food. But that was my pattern. And, with that, I put syrup in my coffee. So that wasn't acceptable, in this new lifestyle. And I remember just being genuinely sad that like, I didn't get to go to the Dunkin' Donuts, and it wasn't that I missed the coffee. I just missed that habit. I missed that routine pattern. Yeah. And, I thought immediately one of the things I thought, well, what am I going to do when I go to Buc-ee's? Like, I love going to Buc-ee's and buying everything and having just a smorgasbord on our way to the next Buc-ee's. Yeah. So those are some of the things that I kind of had to mourn. But I just learned to replace them with a healthier habit. I go to Buc-ee's all the time with my kids, and I let them, eat what, get their treats and whatnot. It's something we don't do every day. But I just really kind of admire like the merchandise, or, I learned that even in social settings, it's been challenging too, because maybe I'm not going to partake in alcohol because that's sugar, but I've learned to drink Topo Chico. I love Topo Chico with a lime. I feel like I'm drinking alcohol, but I'm really able to focus on the person in front of me. So it's just swapping one thing out for another.
I love that. So that's what I was thinking in my head when you were talking, because I've had to do that too, because there's a lot of things with my journey that, I can't do anymore, like eating Mexican food used to be one of my favorite things. Italian food used to be my favorite things. And now since, stomach surgery, I can eat those things, not a problem, but the amount you can eat just isn't that much, and you don't get any of the nutrients that you need from them. So you have to be kind of particular about what you eat. So after surgery, and a lot of people don't understand this, is like you have to be choosy about what you order. And so it is at first kind of like a drab, like, what do you mean I can't just go eat all the, tamales or whatever that's packed full of that bread, because, you're not getting your protein that you need. So you do have to change that. Doesn't mean I can't go to a Mexican restaurant. I'll just get fajitas because that is what suits, my nutritional needs. So it does bum you out at first. But that's why I think I'm so big on healthy swaps, because like you said, it's not that you can't have the iced coffee. I make my iced coffee at home, and I use, almond milk And I use I put the things in it that make it low calorie and good for, and it does have sweeteners in it, so you wouldn't eat that. But, like the Ready Whip, because that's, that's lower calorie than like putting, whole milk or cream or whatever in it. So you have to take the things that you like and adapt them to your lifestyle. And it's not that you can't do things when you get to the point when you're actually choosing not to do them, it's almost like the weight's lifted off your shoulders. But at first it's like you have to, it's like you look at it and it's almost like a drab, like you said, just get you down if you can't do this, you can't do that. And like you said, alcohol, like I can't drink a lot of alcohol because, surgery as well, because the way my body processes it just doesn't work. So when you're choosing not to do these things, some people are like, what? Like they don't get it. And when you make changes, it's just so hard. But then, like you said, you make those, those healthy swaps, and there's a lot of things that you do cut, and you are able to be more in the moment. And it's not like you're, weighed down by those things. So I love that. But it is a challenge when you make any change, to embrace. Like you have to always think, in my mind, this is a choice I'm making. And when you think about it as a choice you're making and not something you have to do, it kind of, helps that a little bit. But you do have to fight, those old feelings of like, I can't, do the same things, but we're not wanting to do the same things because we're wanting to be better.
Right. And you have to focus on the positive too. I lived a ketogenic lifestyle for so long, intermittent fasting lifestyle for so long. I never ate breakfast, and now I get to eat breakfast. So I love that, because I always hated not eating breakfast. I'd literally eat breakfast like at 2 p.m. because I love breakfast so much. Or, I never really, fruit and grains are not part of keto. Again, I'm not judging. I'm not putting a moral value on any of these foods, just saying that now these are part of my lifestyle. So I focused on that. Oh, you know what? I get to eat pineapple today,
Yeah,
just something I haven't been able to do. So
yeah, and I think that is good too, because like right now, like I do a lot of fasting. I do fasting 3 days a week, and the other 2 I don't. Because I feel like that's the best kind of medium for women to intermittent fast. But if you are a big breakfast person, like I'm really not, but my mom really is. So that would be a big deal to her. And that's why, I wanted to, I want to have guests, and everybody's journey is a little different. So people can see there's not just one way to do things. Just because it works for one person, you've definitely got to pick something that's going to work, long-term for you.
I'm a huge proponent of that.
Yes. So what's one lesson that cutting sugar has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Oh, that's a good one. I actually wrote some notes about this one because there's been so many lessons. I think the biggest one for me has been, we know that sugar's not healthy, right? We know that. I mean, we kind of get that message. But I think really knowing what's happening in your brain when you eat sugar, you'd be surprised. I mean, you scan a brain on cocaine and a brain on sugar, they look the same.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's like, wow, also like sugar is going to lower your immune system. It's going to keep you from recovering as quickly. There's so many, sugar is tied to so many health issues, which again, I grew up with a diabetic dad, type 2 diabetic dad. So I was already kind of aware of this, but just learning what really is happening in my brain and why have I struggled for so long. It really just was like, oh my gosh, like I get it now. And it's almost like, it's fine. Tell me what I need to do. That's great. But I'm the type of person, I need to know why I'm doing it. Like if you give me the why behind it, I'm like, I get it now. And that's what I need to do. The what is not enough for me. Yeah. I need to know the reasoning behind it. So learning that, that there's just so many things such a profound impact on your health that sugar has. And I'm really nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you when it comes to your health. Not the government, not anybody. So you have to take it into your own hands. And the information is out there, but we have to harness it and we have to implement it.
And can I interject something real quick? Two things, actually. So when you were talking about the brain and cocaine and sugar, I did a podcast on food addiction, and the research that I did shows that while food addiction isn't like a true addiction that's acknowledged like as an addiction, it runs the same lines as drug addiction. And a lot of that, when you look at it, sugar probably plays a really big role on food, how your brain responds to the food. It's responding to a lot of that sugar.
Absolutely.
And then I lost the second thing. That was the first.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. I think the last thing I said was that nobody's coming to save you. I mean,
exactly. So that jogged my memory. And I just want to interject too that, and I'm not, I'm judging any diet program. You can't see my quitty fingers on the podcast, but I did that. But the diet companies aren't coming to save you either, to me. As much as they try to give you this new fad diet, or this is what you need to do to lose weight, until you make some significant lifestyle changes, no matter what that is, and any healthy diet is going to eliminate the processed foods. It's going to eliminate the sugar, whether you call it you're doing a sugar detox, or you're doing, a ketogenic lifestyle, or you're just following low carb, or you're trying to eat, clean. All of these lifestyles eliminate most of that, the sugar content of your diet. So I just think that's such a smarter route to go than trying the new fad diet that, the box meals that are shipped to your door. That's only going to last so long. You have to make those true dietary nutritional changes to see big results.
Absolutely.
So what do you think has been the best health improvement? So when you made these changes, you gave it a month. Now it's been, almost probably 9 months later. So what do you see as the biggest health improvement that you've seen?
Well, definitely the weight loss. I hope I find, I don't know how many male listeners you have, but I have like zero bloating when it comes to that time of the month. I used to, hands down, could depend on the fact that I was going to weigh 5 to 10 pounds more. I don't have that anymore. I have I might be a pound heavier at most. I have very little bloating. The first indicator that I had, other than the 19-pound weight loss in 30 days, was I wear my Fitbit every day. And so, I'm looking at my heart rate. I know, especially when I'm working out, okay, I'm in the 150s. I need to get up to the 160s, 170s. So I'm aware of that. That's part of my routine, to be aware of that. So I know my resting heart rate is typically in the 75s, right? Well, one day my husband and I were in our movie room. We're just chilling out, we'll relax. And I look at my Fitbit. This is 3 days in. My resting heart rate was 60. I'd never seen it that low. So I go back to the graph and I pull it, and sure enough, you look at the graph and I'm in the 70s for the last couple days. And then 3 days into this lifestyle, it literally just goes on the, I'm indicating a downward trend on the graph. And I'm like, that is crazy. But it really showed me just how getting that fluid off, getting that inflammation, that's the other thing we haven't talked about. Sugar causes inflammation. So if you've got any inflammation in your body, you've got joints, sugar is making that worse, right? Yes, it is. And so just seeing it's one thing for me to say, oh, my face looks a little less puffy, or I'm feeling it's quite another thing to see your heart rate and your body just working more efficiently because you've got this off of you.
And with the weight loss, that helps too. That's one thing I've noticed too, is the same thing. Cause we don't cut all carbs, but we eat pretty, clean. When it comes to the carbs we do eat, they're from natural sources. We try not to eat a whole lot of flour, and I find healthy swaps for that, of course. But we try not to eat a lot of that. But your heart rate is your recovery, even when you're working out, the recovery part, I can be exhausted, fatigued, but my heart rate will go back down. You don't stay, up there. So it does affect all of that, which is awesome. Just think of what good you're doing for your heart. And even how your heart, how all your organs, are functioning when you cut sugar, and all these improvements that you're noticing, all your organs are, operating better too. So that as a whole, that all those health benefits.
Yes.
So how would you describe, I said in one word, but I'm not going to say that. So how would you describe yourself? If you're just looking at Emily previous to, sugar detox to now, how would you describe the difference? I know we've gone through a couple things, but what, one word if you want, or, what would you just say that the biggest difference, how would you describe you then, and how would you describe you now?
I think the biggest difference is I just feel free. I feel free. I don't have these constant nagging thoughts of, oh gosh, am I going to have a cheat meal today? And then really my cheat meal should have been Sunday, but I'm going out with friends today. So let me just do it on Wednesday. And then, then you just get in this, this spiral.
Cycle.
Yes, this cycle. Oh gosh, I'm supposed to be on keto, but I'm going out of town this weekend. So, I guess I'll let it go and I'll pick it back up. And, this up and down, there's a lot of, there's a mental game that just takes a lot of energy, and it's depressing to a certain extent. It creates anxiety. I don't have that anymore. Like, I know what I can eat. I know, and I know that here's the one thing, because I have slipped up, believe me, I've not been 100% perfect.
Oh yeah.
I have
Everybody
slipped
does.
up. Yeah. And when I do, I feel awful. Like, I feel like physically ill. And I'm like, oh,
it's not like a mental thing. Like you feel bad. Like
no.
you feel bad about yourself. It's like,
no.
When we took 2 weeks, like we took 2 weeks off at the end of the year, and we really didn't watch what we ate, and we didn't really go to the gym. I was sleepy, tired, lethargic. I just felt blood. Like, it's not like you feel bad about it, because I was like, I need a break. We're going to, take a break. But the break isn't worth it. Like I said, I'll never take a break like that ever again. Yep. Like, because it's not even like, yeah, we might do lesser of a workout to let your body kind of, rest. But, and we didn't eat bad. So don't think that, we eat everything under the sun. It's just, I wasn't really saying protein first. I was just kind of snacking here and there, and I didn't gain any weight. Gained no weight doing it. So my diet didn't change, but it wasn't like I'm getting the exercise I need. I'm really making sure I hit my protein goals. You weren't, it wasn't in your mind. And so when you let it lax, it really affects how you feel, like just how you feel. Yes. And when you get to that point of like, once you beat, like, I feel like you beat the addiction, and you're just like, like you said, it's just what you do and what you can eat, and it's your path, and you're on it and you're happy about it. It's almost like you can't imagine life any other way. Like, I could sit and eat all of the Little Debbie's I wanted, but I know I'm going to feel afterwards, so don't think so. It's not worth that, but it's hard when you first start to see that, to see you later. Like, and so that's what I want people to see, because I think a big part of success, me personally, a big part of success is seeing, connecting you now to future you. And you have to make decisions that are beneficial to both people. And if you can connect those two people, then it's not like you're working out because you hate yourself or you're punishing yourself. You're working out because future you works out and they feel great. And so it's that connection over time. And if you can do that, it's almost takes that dreary, punishing, dread away from it, because what that future person is going to do and what they're going to need. And that's why I wanted to ask that question, because if somebody can start where you were, where it's depressing to go eat or you got to go out of town, so you got to drop everything, and then connect that person with you now, who's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's not forever. If you can get past the point that all of this is not forever, it's a stepping stone toward where you need to be. That's what's going to it's going to drive your success and your motivation.
Oh, yes. Oh, 100%. And we have a saying too, like, ask me if I'm ever going to eat sugar again. I don't know, Sheena, but I'm not going to eat it today. I'm not going to eat it today. My next meal, I don't plan for it to have sugar. So it is a one day at a time. You do think in the future, but as far as your actions, I'm just making my next best decision. I'm just making my next best decision.
I love it because that's what I tell people. When you start on a journey, most of the time you're looking ahead, too far ahead. And so, you see it as this miserable path of all the things you can't do and all these things. And of course, if you're miserable, you're wanting it to end, right? Because you can't wait until it gets to the end. Can I get there? Can I lose that 10 pounds? Can I just get there and hurry up? But if you can make it one day at a time and just try every day, like you said, I'm just not going to have sugar today. I'm not going to have sugar in my next meal, or just say I'm going to eat something healthy, whatever that is. I try to get people to focus on that one day, because if you focus on the one day and you don't make it painful, you're not trying to rush it, and you're not trying to be like, am I there yet? And let's get it over with. And you're present, and you're living in the moment, and you're making the best decisions for you right now. And it's going to come. Tomorrow's going to come. Next year's going to come, but leave it there. And you focus here. And if you do, it's not as overwhelming.
Exactly.
You don't get it all like weighed down of, I haven't lost that 5 pounds yet. And I'll tell you, I've been doing this for 2 years now. We talked about that earlier. February will be 2 years. And I don't even think about, like, I'm not going to say I don't think about it. I do think about weight loss, and I do think about goal weight, but and I do weigh regularly just to, monitor my progress, but that's what it is. It's collecting data of saying, here's where I am, is what I'm doing supporting my goals. And that's all it is. So when you can get to that point, is what I'm doing today supporting my goals.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We're almost out of time. I have to end this at 30 minutes, so we have about 40 seconds left. So we did a great job of getting everything in. Thanks for coming and just, blessing us with that knowledge and your journey. And I would love to have you back again soon.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, and we can maybe, go over some more things we didn't get to today. But
that sounds good.
I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast and found all this stuff interesting and helpful. And next week we'll have a new topic and we will talk to you guys later. Bye, Emily.
Bye.